Welcome to another edition of TM3 Impact. My name is Tomas Martinez, and today I have Nathaniel Mack III of the Mack Law Firm. Welcome, Nathaniel.
Thank you, Tomas.
Yes, excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here.
Okay, here we go. We got to start off right. Tell me your San Antonio story, Cliff Note version. How did you come to live in this amazing city?
Let's dive right into it, man. So January 11th, 1985 is when it all started.
Okay.
Born at Wilford Hall Medical Center, Lackland Air Force Base, man. So my father was in the Air Force. My father's from Maryland originally. My mother's from San Antonio, so her family's all here. My mother grew up on the east side of San Antonio, East Terrace Projects. They're no longer standing. But my roots run deep here in San Antonio. Family from the east side and the west side going back like a century or more, man. So San Antonio is in my blood.
It's home.
It's home for me, man.
Yes.
The day I was born, we had the biggest snowstorm in San Antonio history. And I know we've had quite a few recently. Yeah. Do you remember that one in 85?
I was 10.
Really? Okay. All right. So I hear stories. I've YouTubed it.
But go ahead. I'll tell you a little bit about it. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yes. So, I always say I brought the snow to San Antonio. Yes. It was a special day. But yeah, man, that's where it started for me. And, the rest is history. But this is home. It's always been home. And, love being here. I moved around a bit, being a military brat.
Oh, yeah.
My dad retired and my mom said, we're going back to San Antonio. And he didn't mind that because he loved the city.
Yeah.
So we moved back here and my parents bought a house in Stone Oak.
Okay.
But this is back in the 90s when you had Cornerstone Church. There was a Tetco gas station, a Blockbuster, and then a lot of deer.
Yeah.
So there was nothing out there, man.
But nothing was past Hebner at that point.
Nothing past Hebner.
Oh, yeah.
No, it was like farmland or something. So my parents moved us out there. I went to Cornerstone Christian School.
Okay.
Up until the 10th grade. Okay. And then eventually my parents let me go to public school because all my friends were going there. I'm like, please just let me experience it. I mean, I played sports, so it's like, I want to play 5A football. Like, let's do this. So wait.
Were you on that basketball team that they always talk about at Cornerstone? Was that the year that they had that crazy basketball team?
So they had an amazing basketball team.
Yeah.
I would love to say I was on it, but it was before my time. I think I was in middle school.
Right?
Yeah, where they had Eduardo Najera.
Yes.
Who ended up playing for the Mavericks.
Yep.
And they had a lot of good talent on that team.
Serious
so
talent.
I looked up to that team. I was a little younger, unfortunately. Okay. But, our team was okay. Yeah. But we actually, Pastor Hagee started the football team while I was there. I think it was my 10th grade year when we got a football team. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So we played some football, man, and I ran track there as well.
Okay.
So that was a great experience.
But now, did you go from Cornerstone to Reagan?
Cornerstone to Reagan.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I always like this. Okay, so this is probably 15, 16-year-old Nathaniel, okay?
That's right.
So you're making the transition from all private, going to public.
Yes.
What was that transition like for you at that age?
It was a culture shock. Yeah. My classes were probably 30, 40 kids at Cornerstone. Yeah. And my graduating class was like over 1,000 kids.
At Reagan.
At Reagan, man. So, it was a lot more diverse as well.
Yeah.
A lot more characters, if you will, from different walks of life. A lot more competitive just because there's so many people. The sports were bigger and better, things of that nature. And I loved it, man. Yeah. I just absolutely loved it because it prepared me for college a little bit more. Because in college, you're going to be around a lot of people from walks of life. It's going to be diverse.
Yeah.
And, I thought it was a great transition. But I was prepared. My parents wanted to give me a strong spiritual foundation.
Yes.
So that was very important to them. I grew up in the church. Yeah. And they wanted to make sure that I knew where I'd come from before allowing me to go and transition to public school. So by 10th grade, 15, 16, that foundation was solid. So when I went to public school, I came across some things I hadn't before. Yeah. But I was prepared to handle them. And, that was very important to them. So.
I love it. So military brought you here. That's what you're telling me. There was a military, really. And your family. And your mom's family. Yeah. Because your dad, he was military here, but your mom was from here. They met here.
Yeah, so he met my mother at the NCO club at Laxton Air Force Base. They were like 1920, man.
I love it.
And the rest is history. So
Brothers, sisters?
I have 2 brothers and a sister.
Okay.
My sister's actually in law school right now in Omaha, Nebraska. She's at Creighton University. And then she's a twin with my brother Nehemiah, who you met here a little while ago. Then I have one other brother, Jeremiah.
Wow. Now, you the oldest?
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest. Okay. Yeah. So you had to set the line for going to school. You had to set it up.
Pressure was all on me, man.
Man, I know that pressure because I'm the third as well.
Yes,
my son is the fourth.
So is mine.
Your son is the fourth?
Yeah.
How crazy
Great
is
minds
that?
think alike.
Serious. So it's
Royalty.
Tomas Enzo the fourth is my son's name.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I love it, man.
Now, he told me, my son said he's going to carry on the tradition.
Nice.
Okay,
I hope my
Enzo,
son
you
does
said
the same.
that. You said you were. I'm just going to remind you. We got it on tape, you know?
Absolutely, man.
Okay, so talk to me. You have this foundation. You go from Reagan.
Yes.
And because I would imagine, obviously, sports, everything changed. Were you playing sports at Reagan? Were you able to transition and play sports? Because we all know Reagan competition-wise, it's a different level.
Yes. So I did play sports at Reagan. My class was the first class to go all 4 years. So we were still relatively new. We had broken off from Churchill and I think maybe Smithson Valley a little bit.
Okay.
So the lines were all funky, man, who was going where. But we were still trying to figure it out athletically. So football team wasn't very good. Yeah. Basketball team was actually decent. And then we had a track team that was good as well. So I played all those sports and I enjoyed, doing so.
What was your favorite? What's your even to this day? What's your favorite?
I'd have to say football, man.
Football?
So, going to Reagan, playing Judson and Madison and Churchill, Smithson Valley.
Yeah.
I mean, we're playing the big boys.
Yeah.
And, Cornerstone, we played some good schools as well. Yeah. But just transitioning to 5A, man, it was like playing in the NFL for me. It was huge, man. Yeah. So, I'll never forget those memories and the relationships that were developed. I still talk to some of those guys today.
Yeah.
And sometimes, man, it feels like yesterday that I was out there.
Yeah.
So,
what do you think the biggest lesson you learned from sports in high school? Like just growing up, what was one of the big lessons that stuck out for you?
There's so many, man. Just discipline.
Yeah.
Being able to dig down deep, man. Those tour-a-days in Texas heat, like there's nothing like that.
They can't do it like that anymore. You know that, right?
Yeah, they got soft on us.
They got super soft. I remember that. It's a whole different level. But two-a-days.
Different level, man. So just like digging deep inside and just, finding depths that you didn't know you had.
Yeah.
And just, that gives you just the mental fortitude, the confidence to just do so many other things in your life. So, that was great. And then just learning to work with others, that camaraderie, learning to, trust others on the field, on the court, things of that nature. So I think those were some of the traits, man, that I actually took with me to get me to this point.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so didn't you make the transition to Baylor? So how did Baylor come into play for college? Did you kind of know where you wanted to go?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I knew I wanted to stay in Texas.
Okay.
And so I played football and I had a few scholarships out there to go to some smaller private schools. But ultimately, I wanted to be close to home. And I thought Baylor was a great option, private school, Baptist school. So kind of in line with what I've experienced in the past, but still Big 12, so we're still playing the big boys.
Yeah.
So, Baylor was the right fit for me, man. So I ended up walking on at Baylor.
Get out.
I ended up walking on.
Okay, tell me about that process, walking on at a D1 university football. I mean, because this had to be what year?
This was 2003.
Okay, this is Baylor at this point is starting to get on the map.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously they've been on the map, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean.
We had some down years.
Yes. Yeah. So what was that process like?
So, I get dropped off in Waco, tell my parents bye, and figure out where the athletic facility is located. Go there. Hey, I'm here to try out. What do I do? And they give me the information, and I show up, to the football facility at a certain time on a certain day. And, they give me some shorts, t-shirt, and they say, you're probably not going to make the team, but hey, it's nice of you to come and try out. Good luck. And then they herd us in there with all the athletes, man. And, we start the training. and a lot of people, of course, kind of fall off. And fortunately, man, I was able to solidify a position and ended up making the team.
That first year.
That first year.
Wow.
So I was traveling with the team, man. I got on the field. So
what position?
Defensive back.
Oh, wow.
I was a defensive back, man. I was a corner.
Okay.
So let me think. I'm old
You
now.
got to be fast. You were fast.
Wes Welker was out there. So
Yep.
we're guarding the wide receivers. Wes Welker, Roy Williams was at Texas. I think Crabtree was at Texas Tech as well as Wes.
Yeah. I remember Crabtree, yeah.
I got a tackle on Adrian Peterson
Oh,
when we played Oklahoma. I got a tackle. Really, he ran me over, but he fell.
But you
he
held
fell,
on.
so it counts as a tackle. Statistically, it's going to say Nathaniel Mack tackle. So we were playing the big dogs, man.
Yeah.
Went up to Nebraska. Colorado was still in the Big 12 at that time. A&M was still in the Big 12. Missouri.
Yeah.
So we had some heavy hitters.
You played Texas because Texas.
Played Texas.
Yeah, as well.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so that I you always hear of people walking on, right? And we know the story of Rudy, obviously, right? Right. We know that story, right?
Yeah.
How many people tried to walk on that year? Do you remember?
There were probably, I'd say, between 20 and 30.
20 and 30
at the beginning. So this is like summertime before the school year started. You had to be there for 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you were in the trenches right out the gate. And then I would say by the time the season started, there might have been 10 of us left.
Wow.
Maybe.
And how many got on the field out of that 30?
Less than 5.
Less than 5 people.
Less than 5, man. Yeah.
Wow. And were there moments in that, because I would imagine because I'm just gonna go back to the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're thinking about the movie Rudy, right? Were there moments where you thought you'd never get on the field?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. There were moments where I was a little overwhelmed. I was like,
Yeah.
man, I hope coach doesn't call me. I don't know if I can guard this guy. He's about to be drafted first round. Like, they're going to pick on me for sure if they see me out on that field. So mentally that was in my head. So I had to overcome a lot of that, man. And I had to really find my confidence when he did call my name. Because those big stadiums, Kyle Field, whatever it's called out in College Station.
Back then, what was it, 95,000?
Something like that. It's like an NFL stadium, man. And they're chanting and doing all their stuff that they do. It's intimidating.
I went to my first A&M game. And I have a master's from A&M. Okay. So I went there, got my master's, but I didn't go to any games or anything. So I went to my first A&M game. I think it was last year. It's either 2022 or 2021. I can't remember.
Okay.
And it was a religious experience.
That's what I hear.
It was unlike anything. Now, you played in Kyle Field, so you experienced from the field.
Yes.
I'm in the stadium, and I'm like, how do you play in front of this?
I can't imagine what you saw, because I really didn't turn around to look to see what everyone was doing. I could hear chants, but to actually see everything, they have different organizations that do different things. I can't imagine. It's quite an
wild.
experience.
It is an absolute must. You have to see an A&M game. All of the chants they have, all of the things that they do. It's a whole different.
I'm gonna go in my green and gold, man.
You gotta go. You gotta go there when they play Baylor.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? You gotta go there when they play Baylor, and they're about to play Texas again. That's coming back.
I look forward to that. SEC.
I
look forward to that, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a long time coming.
They needed to make that happen. Okay, so
Absolutely.
You're at Baylor. So how many years did you play?
So I played 3 years.
Okay.
I played 3 years. I actually redshirted my freshman year.
Okay.
So sophomore, junior year is when I actually played.
Okay.
And ended up injuring my knee, man. And
practice or in a game?
In practice.
Yeah.
In practice. I think it was spring football.
Yeah.
But I remember calling my coach, Coach McGriff, who actually went on. I think he's coaching in the SEC somewhere now. But I remember calling him saying, Coach, I injured my knee. I know the rehab process, what it's going to take. And I knew I wanted to go to law school. So I told him I'm just going to focus on school, my academics. I appreciate everything. And, it's hard to let go, but I made that decision.
So this was probably an injury that it's not like a couple of weeks, 3 weeks. This was probably months, you think?
Yeah, months.
Oh.
Yeah, dealing with those ligaments and whatnot, man. It's months. And, to even try to get back on the field is a process. So it's like, do I want to dedicate my time to that or to preparing myself for the next, step in my life, which was law school?
Yeah.
So that's what I did, man. I made that decision and, I miss it. I still miss it to this day. But
Wow.
I know I made the right decision ultimately.
Yeah, I was just talking with a friend of mine. Shout out to Dean Jackson. He played at Baylor.
Okay.
He was a linebacker.
Okay.
This was back in the 90s. This would have been in the 90s.
Okay.
And I think it was his junior year. We were just talking the other night. His son had a birthday party. It was his junior year. And during a game, he broke his neck. So he fractured his neck. He was explaining the story to me, but he didn't really know. And he was in a lot of pain. And then later they did the x-ray. And then they had to do surgery at the end of he played the rest of the season.
Oh my goodness.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
Yeah.
So
lot's changed.
he played, right? But he said he didn't know that it was fractured or whatever.
Yeah.
And they didn't, the coaching staff, they didn't know, but then, he said his senior year, he's just like, he's just, just upset, just didn't know what to do. Like football was everything. It was his whole life.
Yeah.
But I think he told me somebody that was in this city, like a DA in the Waco, called him and said, hey, it's time for you to go to law school. It never was even in his mind.
Really?
He had been hanging out with this guy all this time, and the guy said, it's time. You need to go. And that's when he made the decision.
Life-changing
So
decision.
for you, when did you make that decision for law school? I sound like you had made it before.
Yeah.
You ever got to Baylor?
Long time ago, man. So I tell people, because they ask me, what made you go to law school? My mother went to St. Mary's University, and she was a paralegal. So she planted that seed when I was very young. She was like, Nathaniel, you're going to be a lawyer one day. I had no idea what that meant, but I would go around telling people, I'm going to be a lawyer one day. And when I got old enough, I started looking into it. I was like, all right, so this is what lawyers do. And I thought my skills fit that profession. And I really admired, that lawyers had the opportunity to affect lives, to make change, to really do good for society. And I took it and ran with it, man. So after that, I was like, all right, this is the game plan for law school. Let me go to undergrad, take the LSAT, apply to law school, knock it out, take the bar. We're off and running.
Yeah.
Now, my path was a little different than what I thought. And I never, thought I'd be practicing personal injury law. But God had a plan for me.
Yeah. So okay. So you knew, what age? We talking like 10, 11 or earlier?
Earlier than 10, man.
Wow.
Yeah, I was really young. So that's kind of all I've known, really. I'm going to be a lawyer one day.
That is really interesting.
Yeah. Of course, I thought I was going to be in the NBA at one point.
No. I think we all did.
We had the Michael Jordan tapes and all that. And we just knew we were next.
I'm going to tell you, I don't know if I've shared this story on the podcast, but I'll never forget. I told my teacher, I think I was in the 6th grade, and I didn't even have Jordans. I had the Jordache. They were the knockoff Jordans that looked like Jordan. I think they were the Jordan 2s.
Nice.
But they said Jordache on the back.
Oh, my goodness.
And I told my teacher I was going to be in the NBA, and she got a magazine cover. And there was a magazine cover. I still haven't found this to this day. Yeah. And it said more people that get struck by lightning than going to the NBA.
Oh, man.
That's what my teacher told me.
Wow, not cool.
She didn't kill the dream. I still went on to play some more basketball and played 1 year in college. But the reality is that think about the numbers for the NFL. When you start breaking down those numbers, it's a very low percentage.
Very low. And even if you make it to the NFL, I think the average career is like 2-3 years.
That's it in NFL?
That's it, man.
Wow.
With injuries and just the competition.
Yeah.
The money's not guaranteed a lot of times as opposed to baseball and basketball. So, yeah, just making it doesn't guarantee you're going to have a successful career.
Yeah.
Very competitive.
Which is wild. Okay, so you graduate from Baylor and you apply to law school. How was that process? The LSAT? Were you ready?
Real quick, let me just throw this out there.
Please.
So I call my coach, tell him I'm done with football.
Yeah.
I was going through it. I was having withdrawals because I had more time on my hands now. I'm like, man, what am I going to do? It's 6 o'clock on a Friday, Saturday, and, I'm done studying. So, there was a lot of time for me to think about things. And I was also sad because I missed it. And I would keep up with the guys and, the practices and traveling and things like that. So a buddy of mine who had also played with me also walked on and made the team. He ended up transferring to a different university and he stopped playing football. So he knew I had stopped as well. And he called me and he's like, Nathaniel, I'm doing a study abroad. You should check it out. We pay the same tuition, but we just study in a different country. He's like, it sounds pretty cool, right? I was like, yeah, it sounds amazing. I didn't know we could do that.
Yeah.
So I looked into it, man. He's like, I'm going to Spain. He's like, look into this program. I looked into it, man. I thought it was amazing. I signed up. So my Senior year, I went to university in Madrid, St. Louis University, Madrid. I spent my senior year in Madrid, Spain, thanks to my friend. He actually ended up in a different university through the program. He was in Sevilla, but thanks to him, Aaron Bobo, I was able to experience that. So that helped get my mind off of things, if you will.
Yeah.
And I came back to the States and then off to law school.
So you spent a whole year in Spain, your senior
Whole
year.
year in Spain, my friend.
That had to be amazing.
It was a great year.
That had to be amazing.
Have you been over there?
I have not been to Spain.
Got to do it.
Yeah, we just got back. We did a trip. We went to Dubai and then Israel with our church. We went to Israel for 9 days.
I want to do that.
You got to do it.
I want to do that, man.
And the kids, like I think for like my son got to go. He's 13.
Wow.
So he got to go to all the spots. It was unbelievable in Israel. And then we came back and we went through Milan.
Okay.
We went through Milan. But it's an amazing trip. But Spain, okay, so so how did they how did the credits and all of that, how did all that work out?
Yeah,
That's interesting.
I went to an international university, so they taught in both English and Spanish.
Okay.
But you were required to take Spanish classes. And there were students from all over the world there. So I was, just meeting people from all walks of life, man. It was an incredible experience. And the classes transferred just like you were taking classes in Waco.
So once you finished there for a year, did you learn any Spanish while you were there? I would imagine you had to learn some Spanish.
That was my best Spanish, man, when I was there. I'm not gonna lie. So and they speak it a little differently there than here in the States.
Yes.
They pronounce things a little bit differently, but that was my apex of speaking Spanish. Believe it or not, I lost a lot of it.
Yeah.
Because when you're forced to speak it, when you're in that environment, you just learn it so much quicker.
Yep.
And I was able to experience that firsthand.
Yeah, that immersion is it's serious.
It's all about immersion.
It's all about immersion.
I speak survival Spanish these days.
That's right. And if you want to go out, I mean, you got to speak Spanish if you're in Spain, I would imagine.
Absolutely.
Right? You got to speak Spanish.
Absolutely,
Okay,
man.
so you come back, graduate, and then, now, but wait a minute, I heard something. So it was St. Louis over in Spain, and that's the connection to your law degree.
That's the connection, man.
So that's how you were. So you applied while you were there in Spain? Did you already apply?
No. So when I got back, I started applying.
Yeah.
Well, I took the LSAT first because
Okay.
you have to have a decent LSAT score, and then you apply with your LSAT score. And I didn't even apply to St. Louis University Law School, but they had, I guess, somehow figured out I was applying to other schools.
Yeah.
They sent me a financial aid package that was the best I had seen thus far. And law school is not cheap, very expensive. So it was hard to pass up on, man. I think I had St. Louis University, University of Miami, and like Texas Wesleyan, and maybe one other. But I chose SLU because it had the best financial aid package.
What about Baylor? Baylor has a law degree.
Baylor has a great. I didn't want to go back to Waco.
You didn't want to go back to Waco.
Yeah, I had enough
understand.
of Waco.
Yep,
Yeah,
I understand.
especially after coming from Spain. I was like, I need a bigger city.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was done.
Waco is tiny. I've been there
It
for
is.
a buddy that did an Ironman. He did a half Ironman, and it is tiny.
Been
I
there,
understand
been
that.
there, done that.
Understand. So you go to St. Louis to do your law degree, and
Yes.
you're there for 3 years?
3 years.
Okay, 3 years.
Yes.
You tell me. So, when I think about law school, I think about the movies that I've seen where they're all sitting in the class, they ask the questions. Like,
Right.
tell me, like, what was a day like in law for the kids listening, for people to understand? What was a day in the life of a law student?
Sure. So typically you're waking up in the morning and you're going to the campus. You will have between 2 and 4 courses per day. And 5-6 hours you're in class. After that, you're headed to the library. You're studying for the rest of the day to prepare for the next day. So you're constantly either studying or in class. That's it. You really don't have a life when you're in law school. I felt bad, man, because I wasn't keeping up with my friends. I wasn't reaching out to people. I wasn't really on Facebook back then as much as a lot of other people. So I kind of went off the grid because I was so focused. You're just constantly preparing or you're in class. So it's a lot of reading, a lot of writing, a lot of preparation, and it's very competitive.
Okay.
So you want to be in that library. You want to make sure you're on top of things. You're competing for internships and jobs with all these, other kids whose daddies are judges and lawyers and this and that, who have some competitive advantages.
Yeah.
And you're trying to hang in there with them, man. So it was fun. but it was definitely nonstop competition to prepare yourself for the next level.
And so that preparation, so you were preparing because when you got in the class, is it like that, the movies where they would ask questions and they have people, is it like that to a degree?
My law school was, I think they're getting soft these days. They're just getting soft on a lot of things, but
Right?
I don't think they're like cold calling people like they used to. They don't want to
Okay.
embarrass people or something. At least that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
But back in the day, you didn't know if you were going to get called or not. So you had to be prepared. And if he called you and you didn't know what was going on, yeah, you would get embarrassed. You would get embarrassed. So
Wow.
you always had to be on top of your game.
Yeah.
And, you're reading hundreds of pages a night, man. And, you're trying to understand and dissect Supreme Court cases and all kinds of complex things. So you have to have your notes together. You have to be organized.
Yeah.
Because there's always going to be those kids who are on top of it.
Yeah.
So you don't want to look bad, amongst them. Because, your reputation as well.
Yeah.
You don't want people to say, oh, that's that kid. He didn't know what he was doing. He shouldn't even be here kind of thing. So.
Yeah. Do you think the Cornerstone School was a good preparation? That private school education kind of prepared you for that? Right?
I think so. Man. I think that private school education mixed with what I learned at Reagan, which, is a really good school, I think combined really helped prepare me for Baylor, which then helped prepare me for law school. So just those building blocks.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's cool. Okay. So where does personal injury come into all this?
Oh,
How does that come in?
So, law school, St. Louis. And, originally I was planning on staying up there. I was going to take the Illinois and the Missouri bar because they're right next to each other.
Okay.
Half of St. Louis is in the state of Illinois.
Okay.
So I'd been to Chicago a few times. I like Chicago.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Except I went St. Patty's Day one time. It was March, spring break. I'm like, cool, spring break. I'm thinking beaches, shorts, T-shirts. It was like 20 degrees, man.
Yep.
I had to go buy a hat, some gloves, like a scarf. It was freezing, but they still had that river dyed green and they were still out there with their bagpipes, man. They had a huge parade in the freezing weather. I'm like, all right, I'm going back to Texas.
Yeah.
I can't do this. But that being said, I graduated, I think like 2 days after graduation, got the U-Haul, packed up, came back to San Antonio and
so you didn't have anything in play at that point? Nothing in play at that point?
Nothing, man. I just knew that the bar exam was the next step.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, that makes sense.
Take that bar. So I believe we graduated in May. The bar was like either end of July, beginning of August.
Yeah.
I came back immediately, started studying like the next day that I had gotten back. And I stayed with my grandmother because she had some extra space and it was a place for me to just focus in. It was nice and quiet.
At this point, how old were you at this point?
I was 25.
25. Okay, keep going.
I want to say I was 25. So I took an LSAT course and just started studying for 2-3 months straight, man, because I was hell-bent on passing the bar.
You wanted to pass that first time?
I had to pass it, man.
Yeah.
So I took the exam, and it takes like 4 or 5 months to find out your results.
What?
So, yeah, I took the exam. So, I'm just all anxious and whatnot. It might be a little less than that, but it takes a while.
It takes a while, yeah.
So I needed to make some money in between, of course. So I took a job at HEB. I was working in their warehouse overnight, and I would work at Sports Authority during the day. I think they went out of business.
Remember Sports Authority?
Yeah, they're gone now. So I was working 2 jobs, man, and just waiting to see if I'd pass the bar. And finally, the results came in, and I did pass. I did pass, man. So that was amazing.
Impressive.
That was great, man. But next step, now you got to find a job.
Yeah.
All right, you're a licensed lawyer, but now good luck getting a job.
Yeah.
And I was competing with a lot of lawyers who had been laid off previously. We had just come from a recession.
What year was this?
This was 2011.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
so
yeah.
2010, all that, man, a lot of layoffs. So
that was the year I started Luxury Home Magazine.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, that was the year 2011. Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Good year.
Yeah, it was a great year.
Good year, man.
Yeah.
So like there was a lot going on in the economy. So those lawyers were re-entering the job market. I was this baby lawyer trying to just, get some experience. And a lot of these employers wanted lawyers who had prior experience. So it was really hard finding people who would take someone like me. So I had passed the bar, still working at HEB, still working at Sports Authority, man, as a licensed lawyer.
Yeah.
Very humbling experience. Some of the guys were like, what are you doing here? You said you were a lawyer? I'm like, don't ask. But I wanted to be in Houston or Dallas. I was like, I'm a big city dude. I'm getting out of San Antonio. Houston, Dallas, that's where I need to be. and I wanted to do like corporate law, business law, something like that.
Okay.
Originally, I wanted to do sports law. Thought that was my calling, so to speak, but I didn't get an internship with the Cardinals or the Blues, so that didn't work out per se. But I was applying to these firms in Dallas, Houston. No one was calling back. I eventually got a call from a firm in Corpus.
Yeah.
And I think the first time I was like, Corpus, no, I'm trying to like
Corpus
scale up.
Christi.
Corpus Christi, man, city by the bay.
That's right.
I'm like, I'm trying to scale up. Corpus, I don't know about that.
Right.
And I was, just kind of waiting out. And then I actually was contacted by them again.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I need to take a job. So I went down there on my birthday with my mother to interviewed with a few people, ended up getting the job.
Yeah.
And I started like a week later. And the rest is history, man. That was personal injury law that I first got initiated into.
Yeah. And who was it with? You got to tell everybody who it was with.
It was with the man most people have probably never heard of.
They've never heard of him.
Yeah, Tom Henry, Thomas J.
Thomas J. Henry.
Thomas J, man.
Wow.
Yeah, that's where it all started for me.
That's really cool story.
Yeah, that's where I was first, putting those fires.
Yeah.
That's where I was trained up. That's where I was instructed, where I was taught. And that experience is really why I'm here today, sitting in front of you. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be here, man. So I'm very grateful to Mr. Henry and to all those who were willing to give me a chance, when a lot of other people wouldn't, and were willing to give me their time and help instruct me on how to be a lawyer, how to be a trial lawyer. So I owe everything to that experience.
That's really cool. You said he became like a mentor, during that process. What is it that, what do you take away from it? The biggest thing you take away from working there and being able to experience what you experienced?
Wow. Just, being a boss. I learned how to be a boss, man, because you're wearing so many hats. There's so many things going on. At the end of the day, it all falls back on you. And learning how to handle that. Because you've got the business side, but then you've got the lawyer side. Those are two completely different ways of thinking. So learning how to manage all that, learning how to grow a firm, learning how to manage staff, learning how to market, just so many different things I learned, man. I mean, that was another law school right there.
Seriously.
That trained me to be a lawyer more than just being in law school, to be honest. And just learning how to think about things in life in general. And then also balance, learning how to do all that while still having a family, which is no easy task either.
Yeah.
So just so many things I was observing and absorbing as well, that I can credit to him.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Now, at that time, this had to be 2000, just going back. So this was 2003 when you got back to San Antonio? What was it? What was the year that you got back to San Antonio?
I got back to San Antonio in 2011.
Oh, that's right. 2011. That's right.
Yeah.
So you started there right about the time he was just in Corpus at that time.
Just in Corpus, man.
And so then in 2012 is when was it 12 or 13 when he really started turning on the gas?
I think it was 12.
It was 12, right?
Things just,
it exploded.
Exploded.
Yeah.
And eventually he opened an office in San Antonio. So I came up here.
Oh, you did?
Pittsburgh. I came up here, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I spent 2 years in Corpus. Great 2 years, but I was ready to come back home.
Yeah. So you moved back up here. And now, so when it comes to personal injury, right? When it comes to that aspect, what advice do you give people? Because people think that you do everything, right? They're like, oh, my friend's an attorney. He can help us, right?
Yes.
But what I've come to learn is like my buddy Dean, who's an attorney as well. He ended up getting his law degree that went to Baylor. So Dean, you get to a point where you have to specialize because you can't do it all, right? So in the aspect of personal injury, what advice would you give someone that's been in a situation? Let's just say from an attorney's perspective, what advice do you kind of give people? Like, hey, if something has happened, here's a couple of things that you need to be thinking about doing right away.
Sure. So, you mentioned specializing in particular fields. There are lawyers who are general practitioners, if you will. So they'll do a little family, a little criminal, a little bankruptcy. They kind of spread it around. My expertise is personal injury, civil law, trial law. This is all that I do. And this is all that I know. So, you know, that still incorporates a lot of different things: car accidents, 18-wheeler accidents, workplace injuries, premise liability injuries, also mass tort, which is a whole nother animal. But a lot of people think, okay, it's just, car accidents. And, we hear these things, ambulance chasers, things like that. I promise you, we're not chasing ambulances.
Right.
People contact me because they need my services. And what I recommend for people is, if you get involved in a car accident, or if you get injured in any kind of capacity where it wasn't your fault, someone potentially was negligent, talk to an attorney.
Yeah.
It's free. The consultation is free. You want to make sure that your rights are protected. And I'll just use car accidents because it's easy, simple. We're always driving, and San Antonio has some of the worst drivers I've ever seen. So, if you get in a car accident, call a lawyer, ask them, what your options are, especially if you're injured, because those insurance companies, and excuse my language, they're going to try to screw you, man. They just are. And I've seen it so many times, people who have suffered legitimate injuries, who can't do certain jobs they used to do, or miss out on work, and now they can't pay their bills, and there's stress and all this because the insurance company took advantage of them. And that's just not right. These insurance companies have armies of lawyers that are on standby. They're on call. When something happens, they're making sure that their rights are protected. Why shouldn't you do the same? And again, the consultation is free. We're experts at this. This is what we do. We make sure you go to the right doctors. You don't pay anything out of pocket for the doctors. We make sure your car gets taken care of, because that's a whole different headache in itself, not being able to move around. We make sure your damages are covered as best as possible, lost wages, medical bills. You don't want to have to be responsible for those. And just make sure you don't have to go through the hassle of getting, blown up by these insurance companies. They're calling you, and you're stressing out. You don't know what to do, what to say. So I recommend consult with an attorney. It's free. Whether or not you hire them, that's up to you. But at least talk to one.
Yeah.
That's what I tell everyone. You don't have to hire me. Go hire someone else if you're more comfortable with them. But at least talk to someone. We're here to help you.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. That makes total sense. I think I remember in college I was in a bad car accident, and the car flipped over, and I'll never forget the insurance company kept calling.
Yeah.
And they kept calling and kept calling and kept calling. And I didn't tell my mom, that what was going on. And
Right.
and I wasn't involved. I wasn't the driver. I was a passenger in the vehicle.
Wow.
Anyways, I remember at one point I had a really high credit card bill from college.
Ooh.
Like really high. Like I was,
Yeah.
Dad, thank you for that credit card. I apologize for running it up. But I was putting some dents on this credit card.
Yeah.
And one day they finally called and they're like, Mr. Martinez, we have a check that we're going to send to you. So we need to know where to send it. And they're like, you have to sign this document. I didn't know. I had no clue what I was signing.
Signing that release. Yeah.
No clue what I was signing.
Yeah.
And one of the guys was ejected out of the vehicle. I didn't have my seatbelt. I wasn't ejected. He was. Everybody survived. He was fine.
Yeah.
But the crazy part is they sent this paper and they said, once you sign it, we'll send you the check. I got that check and I paid off my credit card. That's all I cared about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what I'm hearing now is reminding me is that there were probably some other aspects to that should have been thought about, not just signing that release paper.
I guarantee you they underpaid you. They undervalued your claim. You probably could have got 2 or 3 times what you did.
Wow.
I mean, I'm glad you paid off the credit card.
I paid off the credit card.
That's most important. Stay out of trouble.
Right.
Yeah, they probably took advantage of you. They saw a young kid. He's probably eager to get this over with. He hasn't consulted with an attorney. Let's get him while we can. Because once the person talks to an attorney, typically the insurance company backs off because they know they can't exploit that person like they would do, without that. So, glad you settled it.
Keep that in mind. So that's a good advice for people to understand is that just you consultating will make some of that start to, like, they'll kind of leave the pressure of the insurance company goes away, which is big.
Absolutely. Because we're going to give you some advice on what to say, how to handle some of the situations, whether you have an attorney or not.
Yeah.
And even just mentioning, I'm consulting with an attorney, they'll back off. That'll get their attention. So I would recommend still hiring one, but yes, at least consult with one, weigh your options, especially if you're injured.
Yeah.
Because there's so many complexities to that. You might have long-term type injuries. things that you might have to pay for in the future. Because once you sign those documents, you're done.
Yep.
So you settle the case, you're still in pain, you're going to the doctor, now it's coming out of your pocket. So we're trying to prevent those things from happening. So that's why our expertise is necessary.
Yeah. And I think about like in the situation where people they don't think future. They just think in that immediate moment, right?
Yes.
And that's where as an attorney, you can kind of walk them through seeing the bigger picture than, hey, this, $1,500 check that's right in front of you.
Absolutely. And that's what they do. Here's $1,000, $500. You can have it right now. We'll direct deposit it. They're coming up with all kinds of things. And that's enticing to a lot of people because they have life going on. And that's another thing. Excuse me. If you hire an attorney, we'll try to also create opportunities financially to keep you going while we go through the process. We're not going to leave you hanging.
Yeah.
You have bills to pay. We get it. We're going to find a way to make sure you're taken care of until your case is resolved.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different things that we bring to the table to take stress off of you, to take, that anxiety off of your plate so you can focus on your family and getting better,
Healing.
and getting back to work, all that kind of stuff, man. There's so many different factors that can be affected when you're involved in something that's unplanned.
Yeah.
So I recommend everyone call someone.
Yeah. Yeah.
For
Totally
sure.
makes sense. Okay. Now we got to switch it up. You're married. How long you been married?
Been married 5 years.
5 years. Okay.
Yeah, 5 years.
I got a
man.
few on you. I got 23 years.
Ooh,
yeah, I got a few.
Wow. Congrats. I'm not worthy.
No. You're good. Hey, listen, you lasted 5 years. 5 years is good too. You know?
Yeah.
So
coming up on 6.
Coming up on
six.
when's the anniversary?
September. You're going to get me in trouble,
yeah,
man.
you better know.
September 6th.
6. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 kids.
2
boy
kids.
and a girl.
Yes, my daughter Naomi is 4.
Okay.
My son Nathaniel, number 4,
Yes.
is turning 2 in March.
He's gonna be turning 2. Okay,
Yeah.
so life, family balance. You're busy. Like you're
Nonstop.
running a law firm because this is one piece that I'm reading a book right now with the mastermind group, and I've read it before. It's called The E-Myth. Okay, I don't know if you've ever heard of this book, but basically it's like people they start a business because you went to law school. Did they ever teach you the business side of law at law school?
No.
Nothing.
Not at all.
Yeah. So you don't touch on like how to actually run a business,
Not
right?
at all.
Which is really interesting, you know?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Now, I did take business classes at Baylor, so that helped a little bit. But even still, you have to get out there in the field and learn. So, being at Mr. Henry's office, that did kind of teach me a lot about the business side as well. But no, in law school, you don't learn.
You don't learn anything. So
No.
so then you're coming out, you're basically a technician. You're the technician, and you're gonna go do law. I'm gonna go do law, and you're gonna work on cases.
That's
But
right.
then you don't actually do the business side of it, right?
No.
So I think about this in terms of life family balance. What is helping you kind of keep all of the balance and everything in play with 2 young ones and running a law firm?
God.
I love it.
God.
Yeah.
Physically, mentally, it can be draining. All right. And I signed up for this. All right. I decided to open up my own firm. I decided to have offices in different cities because I'm in Dallas, I'm in Houston, I'm in Austin, and I'm in McAllen down in the Valley. So if someone called me right now in any of those cities, needed to get signed up, I'd have someone at their house within 15, 20 minutes. Yeah, I've created that kind of web, man. So, I can't complain, but God has sustained me. He's given me the strength and the mental fortitude to be able to work all day, deal with all of that craziness, come home, flip a switch, and, I'm playing dolls and having tea time and singing nursery rhymes and watching Coco Melon or whatever.
Yeah.
And forgetting about all that. That doesn't exist in the house.
Yeah.
So being able to flip that switch, man, it took a lot of practice, but God has sustained me. He's brought a lot of people into my life to help support me, guide me, and He's shown His favor. So I owe it all to Him.
Yeah.
My wife's been great, staying home with the kids. So my wife retired from the Navy about 3-4 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, it's 20 years in the Navy, man. So that actually freed her up so she can be home with the kids.
Yeah.
So I know that's a job within itself.
Yes.
So when I get home, she's like, take them. I need a break.
Yes.
So I've got to suck it up. I got to, have that energy, man,
Yeah.
to just hit the ground running because they want to play. They want to bounce off the walls. So I got to keep up.
All day.
But at the end of the day, yeah, I would say, God's just shown his favor on me, man, and he's giving me the strength I need to just keep pushing.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
I love that. I I go to CBC and
I love Pastor
Ed.
That's
You met
my
him.
guy, man. That's my guy.
Okay.
Sneakers with the
all
suits,
day.
man. That's my style.
Yes,
Shout
all
out
day.
to Pastor Ed.
So Pastor Ed, they're doing the Holy Spirit right now.
Okay.
And like he is the last two services have just been like, whoa, like
Yeah.
it's moving, like it's
Rock
moving.
solid. Yeah.
And it made me think about like, I'm reading Exodus, right? And so, Moses is coming out, they're bringing the Israelites out.
That's right.
And, the pillar of clouds. And I started thinking like, so those pillar of clouds were like covering them in the sun, from the sun. And then the pillar of fire at night was probably providing some warmth.
Yes, in that desert.
I was thinking, man, and then the idea that now we have the comforter of the Holy Spirit, now. So I hear you, man. Like I love this. I love that because I think for being married 23 years,
yeah,
you need a lot of God up in your life. You know what I mean? You need
Yes,
it. Now I only have one, so y'all are playing man to man. We're still in zone.
Okay,
so
nice.
It's a little easier with a 13-year-old. So what mentors do you have now? Like who are the mentors that are playing the biggest role in your life now?
My dad's a big mentor. So, my dad, he's been there since the beginning, and, he was that role model to look up to, as well as my grandfather, who's no longer here, but he was also a great man, led a great example. So I would say those are the two main ones that I really learned from and gave me the confidence to just kind of get out there in life and figure things out. As far as mentors, my dad has some really close friends, believers in Christ that kind of saw me grow up. So they're there whenever I need them. If I want to text them, call them. And it's always nice to have that support there if needed. I don't always take advantage of it, but I know it's there. And just, learning from them throughout the years. So I still have that foundation. But honestly, man, I'm so busy these days. I don't even reach out to people like that, like I should. I'm just working, coming home, handling business at the house. But I think I've been prepared for this moment enough. So I don't have to reach out to people that often these days. But, getting in that word when I can, which I need to do more often, but, things like that kind of help sustain me.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Books. I know you probably,
Books.
I mean, after law school, you probably didn't want to pick up another book for a while, I would imagine.
I didn't, but we were off and running, man.
Yes.
I had no choice.
So books now, is there anything that you're reading, like maybe a favorite book that you like to give away to you got new attorneys? I know you all have, how many attorneys do you have at
I've got
Mac?
5.
5 attorneys?
5 attorneys.
What books do you recommend for them to read from a business perspective or just a life perspective?
Wow, there's so many. And I want to tell you this. I have like a stack of 20 books, maybe 10 in my office, 10 at home that I had planned on reading going back like 2 years that I haven't even touched yet.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? All right, let's try audiobooks.
Yes.
So I'm on the road. Let me, put those on. And that has gotten me a little further than the actual hard copy books. But I'm all about reading, man. I think it's super important. I'm not sure what's on my audiobook right now.
Yeah, pull it up. Grab your phone. Pull it up. I want to hear. Yeah.
Right on here. But, always learning, always evolving. We never stop learning in life, man. Right. Always trying to get more knowledge. There's so much changing around us. So just trying to keep up, if you will, is a lot. All right. So there's one called Crushing It.
Crushing It, yeah.
So,
Gary V?
Yeah, Gary V. How great entrepreneurs build their business and influence and how you can too.
That's micro content right there.
There you go, man. I've got that one. Let's see here. Sell or Be Sold, Grant Cardone.
Grant Cardone. That's a classic.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I have here Relentless by Tim Grover.
Yeah.
Got a book here, The Four. It's
Yeah.
about Amazon, Apple, Facebook, Google.
Okay.
One Up on Wall Street. That's a classic. I've read that a few different times by
Ooh,
Peter
I haven't
Lynch.
heard of that one.
By
One
Peter
Up
Lynch.
on.
One Up on Wall Street. So if you're into investing
Yeah.
or anything, this is a book going back to the 80s or 90s, but Peter Lynch.
Okay.
He's been in the business
Oh yeah.
for decades, man, and he built, a huge hedge fund in Wall Street. But a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge in that book. Tribes.
Oh man.
Seth Godin. Yeah.
Now, you know the story behind that book, right?
It's been a while since I've dived into it.
When that book came out, he gave it away.
I didn't know that.
Like it was like 99 cents or something ridiculous. Like he was like, he did this really weird marketing plan with that book. If you go back and look at it, and I got that book and it was like, oh man, this is that. And it's still a great read.
It is. It's been a while, man, but I haven't finished it. I need to go back because sometimes I'll start and I'm on a trip and then when I get back, I move on and forget about it. But just learning how to be a leader, working with other people is so important, man, because there's a psychology behind it. And I know that's what you touched on. So I got to dive back into that. Yeah. And then lastly here, I've got so many, but 12 Rules for Life, Jordan Peterson. So, I'm always trying to, I don't really read a lot of fiction.
Yeah,
I'm a nonfiction guy, something that's applicable to my life that I can use, that I can share. That makes me a better person, father, husband, Christian, businessman, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm all about that. So.
And
I love
right
history.
there with you.
And I love history. So I love reading about what's happened in the past.
I'm gonna give you a recommendation that I've pulled and talked about this book so much. It's called Grant, Ulysses S. Grant. Okay. If you go, like I saw it the other day at Half Price Bookstore, the one right over here in Stone Oak on Evans. Okay. It's like this big. It's a 48-hour Audible.
Oh my goodness.
It was one of the most fascinating books on the history of his life.
I'm gonna plug that.
No, seriously, that book. I've even got my wife listening to it. I don't know how that's going. I'll have to ask her because it's deep. It's deep into his life, but going through his life all the way past when he was president and then to his death, it is fascinating story, and I absolutely love that book. Now,
I love it, man. I'm gonna look into that. By the way,
look into that book. You'll love it. I love the history of it. Now,
absolutely.
Advice for, somebody that's out there that is, let's take somebody that's thought about law school. Yeah. Advice is for somebody that's thought about, maybe they're in college and they're in that position of like, maybe I should be a lawyer, maybe I shouldn't be. What would be your first piece of advice to anybody that is maybe thinking about that journey?
Talk to a lawyer. Find a lawyer. Talk to him or her, go by their office, pick their brain, ask as many questions as you can, try to develop a relationship with one of them, try to have one of them mentor you to some degree, and they will give you a lot of knowledge and information to help in your decision. That's going to be better than reading a book, going on Google, YouTube, whatever. Talk to a lawyer, let them personally tell you what you're going to experience and how it is from their point of view. Yeah. Talk to a few lawyers if you can.
I love that advice. Yeah. Now we got to give a shout out to Mama, right? To your mom, because this dream where you're at right now, on the TM3 podcast as a personal injury attorney, right, is because Mom was a paralegal.
I've come a long way. Shout out to Mom. Hey, Mom, I love you. What camera? Is it this camera?
This is right here.
I love you, Mom. Shout out to Mama. Yeah, she gave me the style that I have, a lot of the swag that I have. Came from Mom. So
that's really cool.
All the way from East Terrace Projects on the east side of San Antonio, having me sitting here in front of you. We've come a long way.
Man, that's incredible. Yeah. That's incredible. I gave a shout out to my mom is TSA. So whenever you fly out, if you see somebody with short blonde hair named Renee, that's my mom. If you say you know me, you're going to get a TSA hug. I'm just letting you know.
Man, do I have to take my shoes off?
No.
I'm kidding.
But if you see Mama, you're going to know. She works awesome. She's a TSA agent. But my story with her is I'm sitting with ITT Technical School in my house. Yeah. And my mom is sitting with her arms crossed the whole time, just staring at me and looking at this guy. And the guy gets up and he's like, well, are you ready to sign the paperwork? And my mom says, my son's going to college. Wow. And I looked up, I was like, am I? Like, I was my senior year. Like, I had no clue what I was doing. Really? I mean, like, zero clue. College, because Duke in Texas didn't call for basketball, I thought my chances for college were over.
Oh,
you know what I
wow.
mean? In my mind,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So there was no idea. But that planning of my mom going,
Yes.
no, my son is going to go to college is why I'm here.
Wow.
You
I
know?
love it.
So mamas are important.
Dude,
you
mamas
know?
are so important.
They're so important.
What would we do without them?
Yeah. So before we wrap up, tell everybody how they can contact your firm, how they can stay connected with you.
Absolutely. If you ever need to reach me, you can call 210-333-MAC. That's 210-333-6225. You can also email me at info@mactexaslaw.com. You can go to my IG, Mac Texas Law. Go to my website, www.333mac.com. And that's how you can reach out to me. So if you or a loved one have been injured in any kind of accident, you have questions, concerns, call me. It's free. More than happy to speak with you and see if we can help. And I would like to say one thing that separates my firm from a lot of them. If you call one of the guys on the billboards or on TV, you're not going to speak to them. I'm just going to be honest with you. You're not going to speak to them. They're not going to know who you are. If you call my firm, I will speak to you. Not always at the very beginning, but I will make myself available to speak to you, to come in and meet with you. I will know you by your name. I'll learn about your case, your family. And I think that's really important. That's the kind of service people want. They don't want to be another file on a desk or another number on a computer. They want you to treat them like family. And that's what we do at my firm. So, if you've been put in that situation, please reach out to me. We're more than happy to help.
Love it. Nathaniel Mack, thank you for being on the TM3 Impact, man. It's great to meet you and great to hang out.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for having me.
Take care.
Yes, sir.